Bigger doesn't always mean better, and the blade proving just that statement is what I have right here, which is a new steel variant of the Cold Steel RECON Scout. And it's, in my opinion, better than the Cold Steel TRAILMASTER design. I know. That's a truth dart, and I got a load of them today as we unpack this blade. Well, guys, welcome to another video. Hanging out here with you and the fam. I just peeled off from the family just to talk to you for a moment. We are celebrating Tommy the Trail Dog's 13th birthday this week, so we're doing one of his favorite activities, going on a day hike, and he's loving it, just having a blast. So as we are doing that, I took with me my RECON Scout in 52-100 ball bearing steel. Newest steel variant, and I've never tested this blade because I reviewed the Cold Steel TRAILMASTER almost a decade ago at this point, and that design honestly kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I just wasn't really impressed, got rid of it, didn't really use it. So I was like, why would I want the smaller version basically of that? Well, when this ball bearing steel version came out, I was like, all right, let's give it a shot, and I am stoked. This thing is sick, and we're going to talk about why it's so capable today. We're going to talk about the concept of like a mid-weight survival knife, where that fits in. I got some other competitive options in this kind of outdoor survival knife Bowie, combat Bowie design, and just have a blast today. So I'm going to go ahead and pack up the kids and the family, get back in the vehicle, head back home. We're going to dive on in. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Let's have some blade fun. All right, made it home, safe and sound. Get this stuff out of the way. Don't judge me. I'm sure your guys' workbench is not pristine either. But why? Why on earth am I digging the RECON Scout so much more than its big brother, the TRAILMASTER? Well, it comes down first and foremost to size. At 7.5 inches, handle to tip, cutting edge is 7 inches. It's just much more manageable and therefore arguably capable in about 90% of tasks that you're ever going to face and want to use a knife for, compared to its big brother. At 9.5 inches on the TRAILMASTER, it's just unwieldy. It's not very manageable. It's not fun to use unless you're going hand to hand with a bear, a grizzly is coming full force at you and you're ready to defend yourself with this edge tool, or a horde of zombies. In which case, of course, I would rather have the TRAILMASTER than the RECON Scout. But in every other way, I'm able to have a level of finesse, but also power that you're not going to find with a lot of other tools. Even the name itself, RECON Scout, that's a job and a mission. So you got to be high speed, low drag, but capable if called upon, and not cutting corners in that capability. And I feel like that really is the case, partly because of the balance point being right there in front of the guard. So that means that it's very quick, nimble, obviously for stabbing, piercing. This isn't just a dedicated camp knife. The clip allows you to stab and penetrate and slash really easily. The guard is going to keep you in place. And you're not going to lose, though, wood's capability. Even that flat spine going up halfway allowed me to put pressure, and I was shocked because of the mind-boggling edge geometry that Cold Steel is known for, combined with the insane thickness, 0.3 inches. This is thicker than 1/4 of an inch, thicker than your BK2. But because of the edge geometry and the full flat grind, I'm biting in, I'm making feather sticks, I'm carving, I'm making spear points, and I'm not sawing through rope and cordage. Arguably, if I had to, could do food prep because of the grind geometry, and it's not like a fat, thick, low saber like on an SK5, or SRK, this is going to be crossover capable in slashing, piercing, and stabbing, but also in woodsworking. And because of how thick it is, I'm still going to be able to slam through logs, split, and potentially replace hatchet work, and be able to delimb and hack if I need to get branches to make out a trigger or a trap or something else that I'm doing, making marshmallow sticks, whatever it is. We always think it's like got to be so capable, and stuff, and that's not necessarily always. I mean, a lot of it is probably just you carving and just dorking around camp, right? But if needed, much more than that. 90-degree spine, throw sparks, but still having a lot of tactical applications as well, if necessary. Now, why after all this time would I go with this variant? They have 3V, they have SK5 versions they've had in the past, 01 steel, I believe. You know, why choose this particular model? And I want to hit with you some drawbacks potentially into the design, as well as a really thought-provoking question on where a mid-weight survival knife actually makes a lot of sense, and some of those competitive options as well that I want to get to in just a moment. But as we gear up for a summertime full of adventures, we know having the appropriate apparel for those adventures is essential. And we all know how capable merino wool can be. Well, that's where today's sponsor, Huckberry, comes into play with their Proof series of merino wool outdoor gear. And actually, since last summer, I've been relying on the 72-hour merino t-shirt and the UPF hoodie on a lot of my adventures as not only a base layer, but potentially a sun protection layer, because you know that natural wool material is a great temperature regulator, cool when it's hot, warmer when it's cool, and if it gets wet, helps retain heat. But along with that, the 50+ rated sun protection of the UPF hoodie allows me to trek and keep the sun off of me, but still stay cool and let the breeze through. So that combination really works well. And this isn't, you know, like, oh, 20% wool, so we can say it's wool. I mean, these are made out of 80+% New Zealand and Australian sourced wool. And the build quality is excellent on these t-shirts. But I've never had a wool blend pair of trekking pants, and these really impress me because they give you flexibility to be able to climb, boulder, do what you need to do, work with blades, do whatever I'm doing. But unlike synthetic lightweight hiking pants that are really clammy, because of the wool blend, it breathes. So it's able to regulate my temperature much better than most other pants I own for the summertime adventures. And there are several other styles in the Proof lineup. So I'm gonna have a link over to Huckberry popping up here, as well as in the description box below, along with my 10% off promo code you can apply towards your very first purchase. So I invite you, start exploring and get the right apparel for all of your adventures. Now, the two reasons I went with this particular model is first, the steel, 52100 ball bearing steel. I've used it extensively now. It has better edge retention than 1095, but I've seen really good durability out of it as well on multiple blades, not only from Cold Steel, but also from other knife companies like even Montana Knife Company. You know, USA made blades. This is a 52100 ball bearing steel. And it just really works. I can get screaming edges on it, and it holds its edge longer than 1095. So that was the first thing. When I saw that, I was like, okay, you got my attention. And then I saw that it was $160. That's what I paid for this model, $160. I was like, God, I can't pass that up. I can't pass that up. I gotta try. I gotta do it. I gotta try it. And get this: if you do want the TRAILMASTER, if you're just like bigger is always better, Aaron, I don't believe you, and I don't like the RECON Scout, then the TRAILMASTER version of this in 52100, $7 more. $167. That's what this is currently going for when I'm making this video. I don't even know how that is possible. I will have links popping up to the affiliate networks if you want, and in the description box below if you want to check those out. I mean, that's a great value, guys. There's no way around it. That is a freaking great value for the steel and for the materials and just all that. Now to the concept of a midweight survival knife. As you saw there, that took a lot of energy, and it took some time to get through that type of material, and I wouldn't want to do that and go through logs like that more than a few times. And ultimately, a hatchet or a folding saw would be the better option in that scenario. But this is where the midweight survival knife comes into play, because I'm on a day hike today with the family, and when you see some of the testing, I was on a day hike by myself, and I didn't have a folding saw or hatchet with me. That was a lot of weight to hump up the mountain. Well, if I get stuck, having a midweight survival knife that could potentially do the task of a saw or a small hatchet to split and break down wood to help me either create a shelter and or get a fire going to survive the night is much more man portable. I'm much more likely to just carry this, and I did, versus an extra 3 pounds of weight with all the right tools. So yes, in an ideal scenario, having all the right tools, belt knife, hatchet, machete, folding saw, but that's like 5 pounds of gear that you may not want to take, but you want to have some tool that, if in a pinch, can do all of those tasks and at least get it done. May not be fun, may be burning a lot of energy, but you can do it. That's where, to me, a mid-weight survival knife comes into play. Now we'll hit the SecureX sheath real quick. Excellent tension, and it's silent. So I don't know if that is something they've changed. It has 4 tension points around the metal guard. Nice thumb release right there. And kind of sucks into place with a good clip. Obviously, click. Ambidextrous, you can rotate left or right the strap. I hear a lot of complaints a lot of time about SecureX sheaths. I've never had a problem with one. It's not dulling the edge on mine with all the in and out since I got it. But leave a comment. Do you like SecureX? For me, if you wanted to hike with this on your belt as that kind of like one tool option, you could do it all day. And it'd be right in the location you want, not high ride, easy and ready to rock and roll. Okay, potential drawbacks to be aware of. First is this giant ricasso. It's just a hair too short to be a dedicated choil for me. My index finger is rubbing up on that exquisitely sharp edge right there. So if I want to use it as a choil, I am going to have to buff out with sandpaper or something, or a file, and just file down about 1/4 of an inch to really give me confidence that I'm not going to accidentally nick myself. I would have liked them to just do that from the get-go. If you're going to give us that larger ricasso, give us a dedicated choil size. Now, if you have narrower fingers or large size gloves, maybe you won't even need to do that. But if you have large, XL, thick fingers, it's going to be something to note. And I mean, you can, if you do it, it actually gives you really good control in that regard, and I can get over that guard without too much of an issue, and willing to have that trade-off for the style. It is like a fighting Bowie design that you can use in the woods, and it gives you bonkers, lockup. Now on the flip side, the guard is not chamfered, so it's abrupt. If you are going to be doing like 30 feather sticks for 15-20 minutes with not any gloves on, you're going to feel it a little bit. It's going to wear on your webbing, that type of stuff. So it's just a trade-off. You got to be aware of that. It's not sharp, but you feel it when you're choked up and you're making feather sticks. A few feather sticks to get a fire going, no problem, didn't create an issue. But over time, I could see that really wearing on you. Finally is the coffin design craton handle. Now, if you have a lanyard like this and you wrap and you do this move, you can literally chop all day and you'll probably never have to reset. So with a lanyard, chopping power is excellent for its size and weight. If you don't have a lanyard on there, because of the coffin kind of design, there is a high probability of it launching into a tree out of your hand or your partner, your buddy. So just be aware of that. Lanyard is best if you are going to think of chopping with this quite a bit, and that's just part of the ergonomics. Now, I haven't had craton loosening up on me in the last, say, 5 years. I've had 1 or 2 cold steels from like a decade ago that did with different temperature chains, like really hot and then really cold. You get possibly a little bit of rattle going on. That's not the case on this. I haven't had that with many of my more modern cold steels. So I know some people make comments about that. I haven't had a problem in years. I have seen that happen literally about a decade ago was the last time I saw that happen. So leave comments if that's something that you're aware of or concerned with. Now, when we flow into potentially other options, obviously the Survivalist comes to mind. I have previously reviewed that knife, video popping up here. Same steel, Cold Steel makes it. It's taken from this idea. That is a great blade. It's half the price, $75, I think, ballpark usually, sometimes even cheaper. The guard, even though it has like a similar guard, is more contoured and rounded and chamfered. So it's actually like a more comfortable blade in that regard, but you have a lot more exposed metal. So if you accidentally leave it out, or if the sun is on it for any extended period of time, that can get flaming hot. In cold weather, it's going to be very cold because there's a lot of metal, all the way around. It does have a bird beak, so potentially even better for chopping in that regard. So that is a heavy competitor. Now, it's not as cool, in my opinion, as this. So the RECON has a cool factor, and I believe this has a better swedge. So if you want more stabbing power and piercing power, that's also something to note. But it's basically, in my opinion, it mainly comes down to, do you prefer full tang, like drop forge, one piece of metal steel like the Survivalist, or do you like the Craton and that's something that makes sense for you? Obviously, I had to run it in here. Part of the reason I got rid of the TRAILMASTER is because I got the SP10 Raider Bowie from Ontario Knife Company, 1095, about the same size. I can actually have a functional, usable choil. This was like $60. So if I want that type of Bowie, there it is. the geometry is not as good, and they don't make this currently. I mean, they might be coming out with some variant of this again now that Ontario got bought up, and I don't know exactly what's going on with that. But those might be coming back, but there is a viable kind of budget option if it ever comes back. But I just want to run that in there. And then if you like that idea, but you just want like next level with full tank construction, there's obviously the what is this? The 0006 from Zero Tolerance CPM 3V steel. There you go. Smaller, but even more capable because it's like smaller in the fine work. Not anywhere near as chopping. It doesn't even have a lanyard hole. This is way better at chopping power and batoning, this guy over this. And this is going to be double the price of this version and about $50 more than the 3V version of the RECON Scout. So, but I just wanted to run some of those other wilderness buoys in there for us and discuss the Survivalist because I'm sure many of you are curious about my thoughts on that. But there you go, guys. That is the RECON Scout. Epic option. Phenomenal midweight survival knife, now having used it, much better than TRAILMASTER in my opinion, and really a bonkers value if you like the design. So leave comments, leave questions. Hope it's been fun and entertaining. Until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.